Hello, Sarah. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
How long have you got? Are you around all week or are you finishing for the weekend soon?
Um, so Bible Society gift us days. So we had Thursday gifted and Tuesday gifted. So we all finished today, and then
Nice.
I'm off next week as well.
Yay! Are you going
So
away
not back
anywhere?
in the office till the 13th.
Oh, sounds lovely. Where are you off to, Sarah? Anywhere or are you doing stuff at home?
No, we're not going anywhere. We're going to go out for a few days over Easter. Going to try and tidy the garden up a bit next week and get some stuff in ready to do some veggies and things. So yeah,
It's quite nice at this time of year to just be at home and getting some bits and pieces
yeah,
done and go out for days, isn't it?
yeah.
Hello, Will. How are you?
Unmute. Hello. Yeah, no, I'm well, thank
Hello.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Any update? What are you up to the next few days? Anything exciting?
Um, yeah, no, nothing to write home about or anything, but I think just like everyone else, just going to really enjoy the time off, short break and as Sarah said, gifted days is always a treat. So,
Nice.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
Easter egg are you hoping for?
I had a chat with my wife about that actually. Like, do we still want to do Easter eggs? Like, of course we do. I love Lindt chocolate.
Mm,
So yeah, it's got to be Lindt.
traditional, the red one.
I do like a dark chocolate too.
Ooh.
But anyway.
Controversial.
Mm. Claire, what do you think?
Well, I could like talk for hours about this, but I'll give you the brief notes because Cadbury's just so disappointing now, I think. So ordinarily, I would like probably a mini egg maybe,
Yes.
but I am now totally sold on Norwegian chocolate because it is elite. Um, my partner spends a lot of time in Norway, and the last time he came back, he bought three like cartons. They have wild raspberry squash, which is amazing, and
Mm.
literally a ton of Norwegian chocolate. And our Kit Kat is like a knockoff of their, it's called like a quick lunch basically, and they use it the same way that we use Kendal mint cake. And they have a chocolate bar that's got this quick lunch through it, and it's so good. So I've got one still in the cupboard.
Yum. Hannah, what about you?
I'm quite partial to a Terry's chocolate orange.
Oh, yeah.
Do like those. So yes.
Yeah. Good idea. And Sarah, you're smiling. She has something to
Um,
say.
I like I like plain old Cadbury chocolate buttons, really.
Nice. Yeah, you
There's
can't go
nothing
wrong.
like Easter egg chocolate. There's just something special
Yes.
about it, isn't there? It's just
Yes.
so different. However, the conundrum I have is I can never get it wrapped up again when I've started to eat it. So I have to eat it all in one go because I can't wrap it back up. So something's going to
Yes.
be eaten.
Well done for
Yes.
attempting to rewrap it.
James says the same thing. Like, there's nothing like the Easter egg chocolate. I think it's the way, just the sort of thinness of it. It's
Yeah.
it's the texture, isn't it? But I'm all about Cadbury's, Claire. I'm still a Cadbury's. I'm die-hard Cadbury's. We had one year where James and I didn't get any Easter eggs. And Will, when you said you and your wife say to each other, "Are we still doing Easter eggs?" The answer is yes, absolutely. And I reminded James this morning, he went shopping for the nephews, and I said, "Please don't forget mine. I want a mini eggs. And if not mini eggs, I want a crunchy, please." He said, "What about munchies?" It's like, "No, I want Cadbury. I'd like Cadbury's eggs, please."
I think
Um,
I think of munchies. Pete likes munchies, and I think they like having dog biscuits. There's just
yes.
something about that thing in the middle. It's just like, no.
Yeah, no, no. Rolos I can do, even though they're not Cadbury. But Lindt's also an excellent shout. Chocolate buttons, Terry's chocolate. I feel safe here. If Claire recommends Norwegian chocolate, I know she's got great taste. I'm sure it's awesome. So yeah, we're in a good space. This is exciting. even though we are missing everyone who is watching this on playback, we are missing you, but you're missing out on this little loving. We're going to have such a nice time, and everyone will get to chat quite a bit. So we quite like it when there's a small group as well as when everyone's here. So it will be a benefit. Let's dive in to today's session. We've got a really great thought for the day, which I hope will encourage y'all alongside the chocolate chat. And here is the Bible verse for today. What strikes you as I'm reading it out? Just listen out. Is there a word? Is there a phrase? Is there something that this sparks for you? And we can hear from one or two of you after I've read it as well, because we've got time. Do not merely listen to the word or the session today and so deceive ourselves. Let's do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word, the tool, the content, but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at their face in a mirror and after looking at themselves goes away and immediately forgets what they look like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom or liberates and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard or seen, but actually doing it, applying it, they will be blessed in what they do. They will be blessed in what they do. Do we want to be blessed today? Well, here is a recipe for how to be blessed in what we do. So what strikes you? What are your nuggets from that verse that we've got up today? Welcome, Kate. So we're just looking at this Bible verse, and I'm asking one or two people just to take themselves off mute and share what jumps out at you from this mindset tool today.
I'll come off. But by
Well,
doing it. So yeah, just that practical application. It's good to have the theory and head knowledge, but it's the how we outwork that.
absolutely. And that is why we always end with core process, is to get to that place of execution. Just one next step, one small change each time means when you look back on this year of altitude, you will see a series of moments where you have done something intentional. And that will be what actually changes reality for you going forward and changes habits going forward. Yeah, well, I love that. So the application is the key. One more thought, Hannah.
The bit where it says kind of whoever looks intently and then the gives the freedom. For me, it's that giving that time. It could be, as Will says, the application bit, but actually pondering and thinking about it, not just reading it, but then having that freedom piece, which everyone always, well, I certainly always like the idea of the freedom. So, but spending
Yes.
that time to actually then to get the benefit from it rather than just brushing over.
That's so good. So what I'm hearing you say there, Hannah, is we don't get the freedom we're longing for. We don't get the blessing if we don't take that time to look intently. That's a key phrase, looks intently, not just a fleeting look or a fleeting glance, but a moment carved out, intentionally preserved to really look. And that's what you're doing on altitude. That's the choice you've made. And whether you're watching this back now and you've chosen to sit and watch it back and really look at it intently, or whether you're on the call, well done, because you're doing what it takes to be liberated and to be blessed, which leads to you liberating and blessing others as well as leaders. So awesome. I hope you're all feeling already like you're winning, because you are. So it reminds us, doesn't it, that what we're looking for today is we're looking for that change, that small pattern change that we put in place here, because we're going to recognize what our tendencies are using the tools and lenses. And there's two tools we're going to look at today, one that you know very well and one that we're introducing. And we're going to look for what that small change is from having been intentional and taking the time. So, Claire, I'm going to ask you to just summarize for us a few insights from the communication code, please.
Okay, so we know the communication code gives us a foundation for healthy interactions. Hopefully, it reduces misunderstanding and it builds trust so that everything we do sits on that relational foundation. Most communication breakdowns don't happen because of bad intent. They happen because what we say is not what's received. So becoming a leader worth following starts with that self-awareness, but it doesn't end there. Self-awareness on its own doesn't change anything. We can't just think about what we should be doing differently. We actually have to do it.
Mm.
And when we do that, two things happen. We improve the quality of our relationships and we model that behavior for others. So can you really own your own communication code tendencies, not just justify them? Are you aware of the tendencies of the person you're talking to? Are you adjusting to them or expecting them to adjust to you? And the communication code gives us 5 types of communication, as we know, but the key is not just what we say, it's what we lead with. And remembering that practically no one wants us to lead with critique. So, where is your blind spot? Are you willing to have another go if someone hasn't understood, or if you feel like what you've said hasn't landed in the way that you intended? Most communication success comes down to the sequencing, not just the content. And what you lead with determines how everything else lands.
That's so good. I love that. And I love that very sequencing as well that you used. So what would be an example of a good sequencing technique? Like what order would you recommend we do the communication code in?
I suppose it's down to each individual.
Mm.
Care is probably a good place to start.
Mm.
And then depending on the individual and the situation, take it from there.
Very good. And not forgetting critique as well, isn't it? You know, we've said that before, is it's really important to say don't bring it first, but it's also really important to say don't forget it as leaders. If we don't ask the difficult questions and if we don't do the troubleshooting, we're not serving our people as well as we can. We're not setting them up to be competent going forward. And that's really important, isn't it? Excellent. So good. So just have a little look at that. And could you just capture, before we move on to the next tool, we introduce a new tool, just capture which one for you today. So this is the mirror we're looking in. And some days you look in the mirror and you see that, you know, perhaps there's a hair out of place. And other times maybe, you know, you need to brush your teeth. Which of those C's today do you need to look at? Which one is calling out to you and you think, I just want to be a bit more intentional in that space. So just write that one down, capture it today. Just pick one. Which is your one? Everybody there? Yeah, give me a thumbs up. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next, we're going to think about, so we've got 1C from communication code. Now we're going to capture a sphere. So which is the sphere? So when you were thinking about that communication code, which group of people, which individual, whether that's yourself, a family member, a team member, whether it's the organization, whether it's perhaps a neighbor on your street in your community or someone you do a volunteer role with, who were you thinking of there? So can you capture now one of the spheres or circles of influence for you? So what would you put that together with? So I've got collaboration and I've got team so far. So it's a bit like when you're playing Cluedo. So far we've got Miss Scarlet with the candlestick. What do we need next? We need a room, don't we? So that's where we're going to go next. We're going to find a room. So we're going to find a third aspect and we're going to build a kind of map today and have a bit of fun with mapping tools one to another. So here's the tool. So you'll have been introduced to this through your altitude session. And we're going to be doing a deep dive over the next few weeks in this tool. It's one of my absolute favorite tools. I probably say that every time, but I love this tool. I love all the giant tools, but I love this because it yields so much helpful insight for us to grow our influence as leaders, which means we can help more people. So I'm going to give you a kind of whistle stop introduction. And what I'd like you to do is rate yourself for each of the aspects, each of these C's out of 5, 5 out of 5 is I'm smashing it. 3 is, or 2 to 4 is, I've got something to learn here, but I'm not too bad. And then obviously 1 to 0 is, this is my blind spot. Absolutely. So in order for us to build relationship with people and not to just take transactions, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, we need to make sure that we are looking at all four of these codes. It's a bit like on our side gate, we've got one of those locks, those padlocks, and it has four numbers. And usually it's someone's date of birth, which you're not meant to do, but it is for us, I'm afraid. But you're meant to put all four of those numbers in to yield the opening of the padlock. And it's the same with your team and the organization with people, is for us to make sure that we can build a relationship with everyone. We need to think about these four C's. If we've even got one of the C's missing, there will be some people who, no matter how hard we try, no matter how much we double down on our strength, will be missing them. We just won't have anything going with them. We won't feel like we've got good relationship with them because we're probably missing their key code for influence. So what are these four and what do they mean? Well, on the left side here, we've got the relational side. So character is the first aspect, and character asks the question, can I trust you? Do you have integrity? Are you just for yourself or are you for me? So character is all of those things, the fruit of the spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, self-control, goodness, and faithfulness. It's all of those things, those aspects of character. What makes up integrity? Am I a good person? Can I be trusted? So for some people, that's everything. And for others, that's some of it, but it's not all of it. So the other relational aspect is chemistry. Is this person fun? Do I like them? Does spending time with them make me feel good? And if chemistry is the key driver for someone, that it will be the thing that they will look for the most. Okay. Even if you're bringing loads and loads of competency or loads and loads of character, if chemistry is that person's key driver, we have to give it some attention and dial it up in order to build trust, because they're the people they trust, the people who make them feel great, the people who create an atmosphere for everyone to enjoy. So character, chemistry. And then on the other side, we've got the sort of head-led side. And this is the sort of skills and aptitude side. So competency: to what extent am I able to deliver? Okay. How clear am I in my communication? That's competency. How well do I do the job? That's competency as well. Can I be trusted with this task? That's competency. So to what extent am I competent? And to what extent am I projecting my competence as well? I may be really competent, but do others know I am? Am I able to communicate that with confidence? So that's competency. And then fourthly, credibility. And credibility is being relevant. It's a lot about having competency, but making it relevant to the particular problem. Am I able to speak into this presenting issue right here, right now? Do I have credibility in this area? And sometimes that might mean showing credentials. It might mean qualifications and upskills, and making sure that I've done the back work that needs to be done in order to have the competency going forward. So credibility and competency are a kind of pair, as are character and chemistry. And if we can do all four, and if even better, if we can work out what that person needs from us, perhaps the person who we're struggling to bond with, we think, what is it that they need from me? We will be able to unlock influence and impact, which can do so much good in the world. Don't worry about self-preservation. We'll get to that later on in the tool, but it's those four C's. Let me put up a summary now. You might want to just screen grab this one and thinking about those C's. So I asked you to do out of 5 for each of those. Look in particular at your lowest score here. What's your lowest score? And make sure you've jotted down or screen grabbed the comment for that particular one. So we're doing a deep dive on that particular aspect. Okay. So you've got Miss Scarlett with the candlestick in the library. Okay. And I've got collaboration with my team, and my influence model C I've picked is chemistry for my work on. Okay, so what we're going to do with all of that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to see if there's any synergy. So which C in the communication code and the influence model are my work-ons? And is there a connection between the two? So I've told you mine are collaboration with my team and chemistry. I'll tell you about an interaction I had some time ago where I invited someone on the Giant, who's a Giant coach, to come and do some co-coaching together. She came to stay in Cheltenham. We did some work together. She had a different skill set to mine. She came in with me to a workshop where I was delivering. And I said, let's collaborate on this. So I was intentional. I knew that this was an area to work on. I said, tell me what I'm missing in my workshop. And we came away and she gave me the feedback. She said, Laura, competency, yes, credibility, yes, character, yes, but your chemistry needs work. She said, you need to tell more stories. You need to give more examples. And your slides are boring. She said, they're grey. I loved it. I was like, tell me more. I drew it out. She wasn't mean. I said, tell me more. Well, they're all like grey and dark and kind of they're black and white. Come on, you've got some colour. Bring that in. You've got some great imagery with your salmon fish. Bring it all in. Get it all a bit more colourful, a bit more fun. So I did. So I dialed that up and I'm so grateful. Built the team. We collaborated and she told me how I could build my chemistry because that was a real strength for her. So I have improved as a trainer because I did that work of collaboration. So I can really tell you that this works. So those are my three. And I'd like you guys to have a little think about your three aspects from those three tools and see. It might be that there's just one of those three spaces that you go, that's my intentional piece for today, and that's fine. But if you can see a link, it's just another way of looking at things that might yield a different insight to one you've had before. So I'm going to pause there. Any questions on the task? Are you clear on what to do in your breakout? Yep. Wonderful. We'll see you in a few minutes then. So as you go, I'll just reiterate 1C from communication code. Which circle of influence are you thinking about? Which sphere? And which of those influence model Cs as well do you want to work on? And is there a link between them? Okay. So just saying which are your work-ons is great. So welcome back. Let's get straight back in. Kate, we'll start with you.
Fab, yeah. So the ones I picked were clarify, team, and credibility. Although part of me is like maybe I should have done competency. Those were my two level ones. And as I sort of chatting to Will, I think in a way probably I was actually thinking more competency than credibility.
Okay.
But yeah, I was basically just saying like the reason I was a bit late is because I had a meeting and I was like, I think that actually fed well into this of like I've been working on a project which is very much outside of my comfort zone and like probably not like I would say I'm a writer and I'm like I like being in my quiet space writing, and this was like a lot more other things that weren't purely writing involved in this project. And some learning of like, oh, I don't actually understand this, like very technical part of the analysis process. So I think, yeah, those things probably aligned well in a way of like, I did ask some clarifying questions in the meeting slash also was like, when you're like, there's a lot of information. I was like, oh, I feel like I could be like, no, I can't take this on board.
Yes. Yes.
So I think probably will be I'll do a follow-up email with some other reflections once I've kind of had time to absorb, but also, yeah, just reflecting on how, because I think sometimes it's like, I think I'd originally put credibility because I was like, oh, I feel like I don't know if I look credible as in like when I'm doing things that I don't feel like that's within my skill set and past experience. Then I'm like, oh, why am I doing this? Or should I be doing this? But I wonder if actually perhaps I'm thinking more of like, is it a competency thing? That I feel then is impacting whether I seem credible. And yeah, just sort of saying to Will about that balance of this is like a growth opportunity of like, I still have other skills which perhaps I feel more confident in because I've got like years of experience in that. these are
Yes.
some things that are like are more new to me, slash perhaps not drawing on my like natural tendencies. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just
Yes.
that's why I'm not probably feeling confident because it's new to me.
Really good. Let's just get Will's take on it. Will, anything else to add there? What you heard from what you heard
From
from
Kate, yeah,
Kate?
well, more of an encouragement, really, that
Yeah.
clearly there's trust there. They
Yeah.
know and believe that Kate is ready to step into this new area. So I guess that's some encouragement, first of all. But yeah, no, I totally understand, where Kate's coming from.
Mm.
Is that what you wanted me to do? Just sort of reflect on what
Yeah,
she's
just
said there?
yeah. I didn't want to steal your thunder because Kate referenced you a couple of times that you'd helped her to process that and to see it as a competency issue that's legitimate. You know, it's not about her worth to humanity. It's just in this particular area, there's a growth opportunity to be had. Is that right?
It's exactly that. Yeah,
Yeah.
development opportunity, I think.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's it, really.
I love it. And I think what you've done really well there is you've made the link between clarify and competency. So when you're asked to do something that you feel I don't actually have the ready skill set for this yet, this is something I'll need to build up towards. It's super important to clarify, do a back and forth in terms of expectations. And it's not just a reflection on you, Kate, and your understanding. Sometimes it's a reflection on the person who's set the task as to whether they have done that work or not. So you're modeling when you go back and say, can we just clarify a little bit more what you require of me or how to go about this? Because I really want to nail it. I want to get it right. Think of the win. I want to grow. I feel a bit daunted by this, but I'm really up for the challenge. Can you just help me to understand it a little bit better? And then I'll feel more confident. I mean, who's going to say no to that, And you're saying to them, you're reminding them, actually, I might just need a little bit more help here or clarify. You're putting clarify on the table as an important code because you know more. Increasingly, as you go through these tools, we're halfway through now. You'll realize that some of these tools just aren't known by people who are leading you, and you're going to have to lead up. This is what we often get at this point in the altitude courses. Or that person's not doing that for me. And you're starting to realize that's not because there's something wrong with you. So excellent. I love that you've made that link between those two. Kate, thanks for that. It was a really good and helpful example to look into. Let's hear now from Sarah.
So I was with Hannah, and so I obviously a new manager this past year, and I lead a team of two. And I sometimes feel that I'm not competent enough in what I do, and then my critique doesn't go very well. So we had a couple of incidents last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't react very well. And something had happened, and I sort of jumped down their throats a little bit, really, because I was fuming. I was literally fuming over what had happened. And I said to Hannah, it was a bit of a learning curve for me, because when it was like, hmm, do I really know my job? And yes, I did know my job, so I knew what I was doing was right. What was wrong was the fact that I jumped down their throats. And in future, I'm going to learn to, well, okay, Sarah, you do know what you're talking about. Don't let them diss this. You are there for a purpose. Count to 10 and then do it in a calmer way. And I'll tell you one of them briefly what happened. So one of my boys was off sick for 3 days last week and he only works 4 days. So he came in Thursday and we had no cold water on the premises. Now our boiler gets checked every day, either by me or one of the others. And I checked it every day that last week and it had gone off. And to cut a long story short, he said to me, well, have you been doing your job properly? Have you checked it every day? And it was just like, so I just went woof like that. And I know I shouldn't have looking back, but it was just like, I just was fuming.
Yeah, yeah,
He
totally.
questioned about what I was doing.
Yes, yeah. So it sounds like you've already got to a place where you've come up with the next step for how to deal with it better in
Yeah.
the future. But I think what I'd love to encourage you to do as well, Sarah, is a bit of self-care here. Why do you think that in that particular moment you reacted in that particular way?
Because I just felt they doubted my job and my, not me as the manager, but obviously I'm the woman manager and I have three men working for me. They're lovely, don't get me wrong. Um, but I just felt really undervalued in what he'd said, and I thought, what do you think I've been doing for 3 days when I've done
Mm,
open up and this type of thing?
mm,
That's how he made me feel.
mm. Absolutely. So recognizing that as a context, and perhaps also recognizing that perhaps you'd like to invite them to celebrate you a little bit more. Or they might not think you need that celebration or you need the encouragement as a leader, but leaders do. We need encouragement, don't we, as leaders? So sometimes perhaps being honest about that, about how it made you feel, can be really helpful as well for them. But well done, and how great that you and Hannah got to process that together today. Like one of the values of doing altitude together is being shoulder to shoulder with another leader and being able to just get those
Yeah.
things off our chest. So Sarah, hats off to you for processing that. Well done. Will, let's come back to you. Anything from you? What were your three?
Yeah, critique,
Mhm.
which is it's going to be an ongoing thing. Team and chemistry for me.
Good. Any
Um,
links? Any thoughts?
Links, not particularly. One was certainly nothing that stood out as a link. It's just yeah, one of those things that I just need to improve and develop further. Really. Yeah.
Why
I mean,
did you
or I
pick
guess
critique?
why? Because I feel I'm pretty good at the other the other ones, and critique is always. I mean, it's always the more difficult one, I think. Yeah, yeah, that's why. It's just something that struggled with for all time, all through life, and I think it will be the one that I'm just going to have to ramp up, dial up, and just work on. But I think even as Kate and I were discussing as you develop the other ones around it. So, the I can't remember them now, but yeah, the other ones,
Hmm.
trust builds. And
Mm,
so,
mm, mm,
in time,
mm,
I think it's so
mm.
long as people know that, look, he cares for me, he's got my back and he actually wants me to be the best me I can
Yes.
be. All
Yes.
of those things, which I feel I have with my team anyway. But as that develops, then the critique becomes easier because they know where it's coming from, even if so I guess it's just working on how it lands, really, I think, more than anything. And so that's, I guess, that is the link. So the chemistry
Yes.
piece
Yes.
around I see what you did there. But the chemistry piece around telling stories and things just sort of
Yes.
brings it to life. So it's not just a technical thing, but actually, we can sort of communicate and conversation and all of those things. So
So
yeah,
good.
well done. Yeah, there is a link there. I see that
No,
now.
well done you. You're the person that did that. That wasn't us. You just, as you were speaking there, it became apparent that the more you build that chemistry piece, the more it's a we, and that sense of team, that sense of us being
Yeah.
in this together on the same pathway, having fun as we go. It's about the journey, not the destination. The more we can build that out, then the more natural just critiquing in the sense of, remember, Claire gave us that point a couple of weeks ago. It's not criticism, but critique is us being able to say, let's troubleshoot this, or how could this be improved? What might we do differently next time going forward? I think Sarah gave us that question, didn't she, a couple of weeks ago, was, how might we do this going forward? So being able to see that those two go hand in hand, one gives us the ability to do the other. I think it's also interesting that in Bible society, even voices like guardian voices that traditionally find it easy to critique don't necessarily find it easy to critique in Bible society. I think that's something for us to just to be aware of. Hannah's nodding. Let's come to you next, Hannah.
I'm only nodding there because I've had to really dial down my critiquing and kind of aspect. But yes, from the corporate way of the way you would say baby things to
Yeah.
here, Susan definitely had to train me to soften a tad. So and not be so corporate. But yes, so my three was
And can I just say, Hannah, before you carry on, if we can get other voices to raise theirs as well, we can meet in the middle.
that is true. That is true.
That's
Yeah.
what we need because
Yes.
we do need you, Hannah, doing that troubleshooting work that you bring. We need you doing that. We don't want that to be taken away because that's what will help our society to become even better.
Yes. Yes.
Carry
Uh,
on.
My three were basically matching yours. I'm copying you, Laura. Was collaboration,
Hmm. Hmm.
team, and chemistry.
Hmm.
Collaboration for me was more actually building in time to get other people's views, especially like on project work within teams, because the blue in me, it's never perfect, it's never brilliant. I tend to, in a project kind of plan setting, I am more of a lone wolf. I do value other people's views, but I am definitely a lone wolf. And then actually, I get so busy trying to make it perfect that one, I actually don't want to collaborate with other people because they might rip it to shreds. So that's an element of confidence bit there. But also, I don't necessarily put in enough time on the project plan. Whereas if I'd have had it okay at like 80% and put it out, so it's definitely built
Good.
bringing in the other views because my
Yes.
way is not the only way. I do know that, but I do kind of so I struggle with the collaboration piece, and I think that kind of links in with the chemistry as well. I had like a score of 8 on social, yellow social. I'm not particularly social. I dial it up and have to, but if you stick me in any kind of networking or anything like that, I want to run for the high hills. And I struggle with that. So that chemistry piece of trying to be fun, I'm not particularly fun. Um, and storytelling and that kind of thing, considering I like using lots of words, I'm not great at that either. So it's that is definitely an area that I've built it into my role. So like with the candidates and things like that, I know my kind of little chitty chat things that I'm going to say to kind of do. So I've built in, but if
Yeah.
you stick me in with a awkward kind of, I find it very awkward. And then that I think rubs off on the other person because then they feel awkward because I'm emanating awkwardness. So yes, it's yeah, I think it's my lone wolf.
Mm,
And I'm still into this. That's the biggest thing that
mm,
Susan, when I
mm,
first came in, was like, you have a team, they're there to help and support.
mm,
You don't
mm,
have to do everything. But
mm.
so yeah.
Super good. So sometimes when we're thinking about building our collaboration or our chemistry, it's about thinking, how can I do it in a way that isn't painful? It's not like pulling teeth. What would be fun for me to do? So if you like walking, let's just go for a walk and can we just chat this through? If you like coffee, let's have a cup of coffee and can I get your thoughts on this? Make it as non-onerous as you can. You have really nice places in Bible Society if you're there in the office to have, you really look after people. The hospitality is amazing, isn't it? And we always enjoy your coffee stations and things that the ops team keeps really well stocked and looked after. So doing that. Also online, who is it that you enjoy collaborating with and how do you want that to go? If you just want it to be a quick thing, just can we get 10 minutes? And, just say, I just want 10 minutes and here's a couple of questions I've got ready for you. Because some people love the opportunity to externally process. And the first step to collaboration, Hannah, is recognizing you don't have it all. That other colours, other voices bring different lenses, and you want that information. That can be very motivating for the Guardian. I actually want that information. I don't want to miss out on an area that I might be in my blind spot. So I want my information to be as up to date as possible. So bear that in mind. That's really, really good. So now we've got clear on our three things, okay? Collaboration, team, chemistry, or your equivalent. We're now going to go to a next step. Sarah's already got hers, which is awesome. So maybe she can put a little bit more flesh on that bone as we go through. But what we're thinking about, as we've always said, is what is a small pattern change or what is just a natural next step for me in this particular area? So, Claire, could you just talk us through the core process and any insight you might have from the communication code in how you might execute or something you've learned
Yeah.
on this area?
So we know that the core process is how we take an awareness and turn it into behavior so that it's not just,
Mm,
oh, that's interesting. I've noticed that. But actually, that's changing how I'm going to show up today and for the future. And we look at it in the three areas of self, family, and team because we know that leadership isn't just situational, it's across contexts. So we need to think about what do I need to focus on to grow in each of those areas. It might be one overall theme or something different in each of those spaces. Just being aware of communication preferences, where are you intentional or accidental, and just being really specific. So it's not just about knowing the specific thing that we're working on. So, for example, the communication code, it's about whether or not people are going to experience a difference in you.
Mm. hmm Really good. And can you think of an example of something specific that you have decided you're going to call and own and what you've done as a result? How have you executed
Um,
a difference?
yeah, so I am really terrible at posting on specifically places like LinkedIn. And so when we were going through the prep for this, um, I realized that I haven't sort of, although I changed and updated details in my LinkedIn profile, I hadn't actually put a post together um, to let people know on LinkedIn that I don't actually work in hospitality anymore, which is what I did in my past life. So I obviously had to be aware of that and put a post together that says, actually, I've spent the last few years retraining as a coach and an EFT practitioner. And in January, I completed my giant guide training so that I can work alongside Laura and salmon swimming. Um, and I put together a post on LinkedIn and popped that out.
Yay, you did it. Awesome. Achieved. Brilliant. How do you feel now? What was the response?
Yeah, great. I mean, yeah, it's sort of, yeah, it's nowhere near as bad as you think it's going to be.
So Claire is a really great example of a nurturer voice whose tendency is to play down how credible they are and how competent they are as well. But actually, what that does is then that stops other people from being able to access the help that Claire can offer so competently. So if that's you, and that's not just nurturers, it's anyone with humility actually finds that hard to boast a little. But sometimes people need to be aware. It's very reassuring to others to know that you are fully qualified to do the role that you're doing. So it's quite helpful to let people know if that's the case. So Claire did something very specific. She posted about something that shows her credibility in the area of coaching. So what is it for you? So use the core process to get clear on which particular area you want to focus on, maybe with which sphere. Own it. What is your role in that? What are you doing or not doing? And then what are you going to do to respond? And how are you going to execute? And execution is the when. Okay, when am I going to do something specific? And that might just be scheduling, thinking about it a bit more. But once I put something in my diary, it happens. I'm a slave to my diary. So that's why putting a date with myself to do something is quite clever. So that's a little tip for you. So off you go for 5 minutes, if you will. Any questions, do hang in there and ask me. Otherwise, see y'all in 5 minutes for a clear next step. And Claire, thank you. That was such a great example that you shared there. Really enjoyed that. Well, I was just saying to Claire how well you're all showing up. And I was saying you wouldn't think that Guardians didn't like the chit chat because you guys are just engaging with real chemistry, whether you're greens or blues or whatever colours you are. Like you really are doing that so well. I've really seen that difference. So well done the way you're showing up. So let's hear some next steps. Sarah, you already had one. Did you get any further clarity on it?
Yeah, I liked the idea of your like going for a walk or have coffee together. And I sometimes think that kind of atmosphere, just chill, isn't it? It's just, oh, let's have a chat about this over coffee, da 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 da. And I think that then takes out the um not the importance of it, but the fiery bit of it,
Yes.
and sit down, let's have a chat. And I think going forward, that's what I'm going to do a bit more with my boys. Sit down on a chilled chat and see how we're doing, what's going on. rather than we'll have a team meeting still, but I think just taking time out with them is a little bit, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do and
Good.
see how it goes. As it is, the person in question's leaving soon anyway, so, but I'm having a new person come in, hopefully. So it's a new thing for me to do. So I think I'll be practicing it. Yeah.
That's it. Love that, Sarah. And don't be afraid as well to be vulnerable and just to say, here's how I felt. When you said that, this is how it made me feel. Like, think about you coaching them for their other relationships as well.
Mm.
Because that's legitimate. The way you felt was legitimate. And, they probably hadn't handled it very well. So I love that, Sarah. It's brilliant. Hannah, let's go to you next. Have you got a next step?
Yeah, so next step again is to make it not so daunting. So because it doesn't come naturally, to when I'm starting a project, intentionally book in that time with someone, but more over like a coffee, it'll be a hot chocolate for me, but hot chocolate chat kind of thing, and have a discussion, um, reviewing before I kind of at the point that I'm starting the project to actually whose voice would be really helpful with
Yes.
it, booking that time in, because first off that will help me keep to a timetable, whereas if I keep saying I'm going to do this, my blue just takes over and everything takes 10 times longer. So actually being
See.
intentional, because it doesn't come intentionally for me, or naturally, intentionally put it in. So over the next kind of month, I've got a project that I've been set to start. So I'm going to then plan that in, put in that time. I know you say kind of less informally over like a coffee or something, which we can do, but I might still just put that time in so that I know I'm working towards it, and then review at the next month with Melinda, to talk through how I found that, and then try again with the next project. And hopefully over time it will come naturally.
And it will
But
save you time.
yeah.
This is the
Mhm.
key, Hannah. It will save
Yeah.
you time. I've learnt this from my yellow colleagues in coaching. We have a community, a worldwide community of giant coaches. And if they've got a new workshop to prepare for, they go onto our Slack channel, which we use Circle, and they say, has anyone done a 5 gears workshop for a group in engineering? And then someone goes, yeah, I have. Would you like my deck? Would you like my... And it's not that they're going to just literally do the whole thing with no preparation now. It's that they're going to use that deck as a basis for the preparation. Save them 5 hours. Save them 4 or 5 hours. Incredible. And I've gone, that's smart. You know, sometimes blues my second voice, so I'm very strong, Hannah. I can, that's probably why we pick the similar things. I ask, what do I know? But sometimes the yellow colleagues go, who do I know? And that will save time. That can increase competencies. That's the aha. Love that. Brilliant. Really quickly, because we're right on time now. Will, what's your next step?
Very similar lines to what Sarah was sharing, really. Just finding ways of, not, when it comes to critique, it's not,
Mm,
it doesn't have to be so serious.
mm,
And like you
mm.
say, it's more of a collaboration. So disarming the whole thing, setting it up as a problem to solve that, that we can both sort of, input
Yes.
into. So
Yes.
I think that's sort of where I'm
So good.
going.
Well, I love that. And people often have the solutions inside them anyway. When you say,
Yes.
what have you got any ideas on what might be a good way forward? They often do.
Yeah.
And they usually
Yeah.
say no, and then they give the idea after that. No, but I did think about this. You go, yes, that's it. There we go. We
Brilliant.
can work
Yeah.
with that. Ace, Will, love that. And finally, Kate.
Yeah, I'm going to send my clarifying email after this meeting, so try and get some clear answers so the blue in me is satisfied.
Excellent. And that's not a weakness in you. That is simply you're modeling to them what you need to do something new. That's clever and that's smart. Claire, what are we doing going forward?
Next time we have got a slightly longer session and we are looking at 3 different areas. So it's all maximizing influence. So it'll be the 5 voices connection, overcoming self-preservation, and relationship before opportunity.
And they're going to be brilliant, aren't they? For
Yeah.
lots of stuff that's been raised here,
Yeah.
self-preservation is key to
Yeah.
getting it out of our own way so that we can move forward. Absolutely brilliant work today, everybody. Well done. It's been lovely seeing you. Have a really happy Easter. You are doing
Yeah.
a brilliant job. We are so proud to be associated with Bible Society. And I know there was a disappointment last week, but actually the reframe is that it's once again shed such wonderful light on Bible Society, the integrity. You've done nothing wrong. You've actually shown real character in the way that you have shown up with YouGov's mistake. And I just feel even more proud of you, and even more confident that the work you're going to do going forward is just having such high impact. And Claire's going to share a link to a Stephen Bartlett, the top podcaster in the UK, who's just recently done an interview on Christianity. Tell me more. He's rejecting the God delusion of his sort of age 20. He said, I'm really naive. I don't know anything about it. I rejected it all out of hand when I was 18. And he's interviewing one of the top apologists in the world on all things Christian. And I just don't know whether that would have happened without Bible Society and the data that you produced in good faith. So good things have come out of this, and I'm sure good things will come out of the report next year as well. You're on the right track. This is the way. Just keep going. Just keep going. This is not a setback. This is the way. We're right with you. Well done. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Claire.
Have a lovely Easter too.
Happy Easter. Enjoy those chocolate eggs.
Yeah.
Indeed. Bye.